Zodiac is most likely one of the most accurate feeling true crime films ever made, but there's a few things that are maybe not so accurate. So we're going to get into it today on today's Real versus Real, which is the show where we kind of go through these various movies that are based on reality and we compare them to the true story and what we know of real life. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Real versus Real. I'm Carson Phillips. That's Daniel Garza. And we're going to take you guys kind of back to our roots, which is true crime.
The Zodiac Killer. Oh.
Yeah, I am the Zodiac Killer.
I am the Zodiac Killer.
And then everyone just stands up and says it. Maybe the real Zodiac Killer was the friends we made along the way.
Was the murders we made along the way.
Anyways, so like I said before this show, we kind of just go through, we kind of break down how accurate a film is and talk about the true story that inspired it. And yeah, this movie, you know, Zodiac, David Fincher, fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, I don't know what's wrong with you. Go watch it. But yeah, so this is obviously based on a real case. Growing up, Daniel and I kind of grew up in Northern California. So we heard rumblings about the Zodiac Killer, I feel like.
Especially
as kids, right?
because Modesto was like a really close one. That's like 40 minutes away from us.
Yeah, in Oakland. Now they just have so many killings in those areas that it doesn't even matter if there's a serial killer.
You just have become numb. Well, you don't live here.
Yeah, no. There's no
He lives in L.A. right now. In Brea.
Anyways, I remember growing up and hearing like, oh, they never caught the Zodiac Killer. He could come get you.
Yeah, we were those kids that actively
like
thought he was on the loose. Like, we were constantly scared.
He's just an old man. Or dead.
He's just dead.
Well, it depends. Anyways, this case does kind of feature, you know, Northern California, Southern California. But this movie in particular does follow the San Francisco area of investigations. Specifically those of, you know, like the news as well as the cops in the area. It does jump around a little bit in time, but yeah, a major part of the case was that there was these letters and ciphers sent to newspapers, and especially the San Francisco Chronicle, and there was quite a few victims. There were shootings and stabbings both, and I'm going to kind of go through kind of the main moments of the killings and talk about them with
how many victims are actually where are we at? Because you jumped through like 3 seconds.
I'm on the Blue Rock Springs attack. Let's jump into the Blue Rock Springs attack.
Going into this, is Zodiac actually accurate or just really convincing?
Okay, you're behind. But it is very convincing, but as far as like realism goes, David Fincher, I'm going off script. David Fincher did take painstaking details to get the time period and feel of the film looking amazing. So like just from like the look of like the newspapers, the costumes, the vehicles, everything is pretty dang accurate, like probably like 99% accurate. As far as the story goes, it's pretty close. I'm going to get into some of the differences in a little bit, but let's start with the first kind of killing, which is the Blue Rock Springs attack. In the film, the killer does shoot a couple and leaves and then comes back and shoots again. You know, kind of got a second win there, you know. And in real life, the attack happens. There was actually a surviving witness, and some exact details vary depending on the source. So we already have some ambiguity there in real life. So the film just decides to pick an answer of what is true and roll with it instead of giving us all the options.
So even in one of the main attacks, we don't fully know exactly what happened?
Yeah, no, that is true. We don't know because there's just so many details that are given to us, and that's kind of what makes this case messy, is there's a lot of details, a lot of different avenues you can go down to kind of investigate it. And this is really, that's like the main killing that is shown in the film, which also I forgot how crazy violent that first scene is.
Yeah.
Did that take you off your seat for a second there? Where you're like, oh my gosh?
I remember how violent it was. I've seen this movie multiple times just because I really like Jake Gyllenhaal and Robert Downey Jr. So
great performances.
Yeah.
We should just do another review of this next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then in that same case, that first murder, the killer does call the police and he confesses. And that a call did happen, but the wording obviously isn't confirmed. So again, that's like a minor detail that's different. Don't ask the question. You don't need to ask.
So that creepy calm phone call, that might not have been exactly how it went.
Yeah, no, it's not at all how it went. I don't know what that question is. Anyways, there was multiple ciphers that were left, and the puzzle does get solved in the film. It's a big part of the story in the movie. But in real life, there was a couple of these that weren't cracked until recently. Actually, one of them was cracked, I believe, in 2020, using some AI to kind of help along. And yeah, it really didn't give us any more details, though. It doesn't help solve the case by any means. And then there was the Lake Berryessa killing, which is where a hooded killer did approach.
So even when they cracked the code, it didn't actually help catch him.
Sorry, it did not. He still has not been
Lake
apprehended.
Berryessa.
He could be dead. Yes, at the lake, a hooded killer did approach a couple with some rope and a rehearsed story. That's kind of in the film. In real life, the attack did happen. There was a car door. Writing that's kind of a major piece of evidence there, and some details are consistent. But again, it's not. I wouldn't say it's exaggerated for the movie. It's just we fill in those details so it actually makes sense as a film.
So in the movie, he actually does have like the hooded thing, and then the like sights on like his chest or whatever. Was that real? Like that costume, or was that movie?
I believe it is a 50-50 chance of that being real.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Eyewitness reports are not consistent. And then there was the Paul Stein murder, which is the taxi driver is killed. There are witnesses who see it, though. That's in the film as well. Kind of like a key moment, I think, as far as like the case really opening up. And this is probably one of the most accurate parts of the film, with police documents supporting the entire sequence and the witness seeing the suspect and the suspect leaving on foot. So, yeah, that one is pretty close.
Okay. Sorry.
And then...
So, is this the moment where they were the closest to actually catching him?
I don't know for sure.
I love how I'm just like reading it hardcore.
I actually don't believe that who we think the killer is the killer.
Really?
We can get into that at the end. Yeah. I'm going to go through some of this a little bit faster here. But the ending of the film, the movie does create a strong sense that this guy, Arthur, is most likely the killer, right? Mr. Baldy himself. Yeah. Is that who you would think the killer is after watching the film, I'm guessing?
Well, the only reason why I would think that is because at the very end of the film, they're like, the call stopped happening after he died. And
yeah,
like,
so thank you for mentioning that, because most people don't think the call was ever a thing. They think that's fake. There's no evidence that happened. And the character Jake Gyllenhaal is playing is not a reliable source. He has been proven, once the actual police files were released to the public, to have made up conversations and details in his book to make it more exciting. So I don't think the call stopping after he passed is evidence by any means. He did bring... So, okay, here's the thing. So I was kind of researching, what do we think about this guy? Do we think he helped the case in any way, or do we think he harmed it? I would say he technically helped us, because the Zodiac case is really well known now, so more people know about it. And before his book, maybe people kind of forgot. It kind of became just another piece of serial killer history. But now it's probably one of the most famous serial killer stories. So he did help, but he definitely pointed in the direction of this guy being the killer when there's really not that much evidence of it. And overall, I will say the movie is very accurate. It does follow the book, but I don't think David Fincher is treating the story like it's gospel, like this is exactly what happened. I think it's more about like obsession and how that can mess up your life. Not just like, oh, let's catch this killer. That's too simple of an explanation for what the film's about. So the movie does get a lot of stuff right, like the kind of like paranoia that Jake Gyllenhaal is feeling. And it's kind of the whole point of the movie is like he's suspecting just about everyone and jumping to conclusions. Okay. Yeah, so this movie does simplify a lot of things. But like Daniel and I were talking about earlier, the movie it's wildly accurate. As far as like who it lands on as the potential killer, that is still debated. The movie makes it seem like it's like certain, right, that he's the killer, but that's just for dramatic effect. And I do think David Fincher is doing more than just saying like, hey, this is the killer. I think he's more exploring like the mind of the people that are obsessed with solving the killing.
You're right.
But yeah, the movie, it's not really like lying. It's just kind of making reality a little bit cleaner and more interesting to watch. Now, this is where I think things get a little interesting. Let's talk about what happened after the movie. Do you want to talk about what happened in 2018, Daniel?
Sure. So, guys, when we're looking about 2018, there were renewed attempts to use DNA, but no confirmed identification. And then in 2020, the Z34 cipher was solved and acknowledged by the FBI, but it did not solve the case. In 2021, the case breakers announced a suspect, but authorities did not confirm it. And then in 2025 to 2026, AI-based theories claim the identities, but remain unverified. Wait, so even with modern tech, we still don't know who the Zodiac was?
Yeah, we still don't know. The DNA thing is crazy, though, because we think we have our guy, right? But then we go and look at the DNA evidence and it doesn't match. But that doesn't mean it's not him. It just means it could be someone else's DNA. So we need to figure out who that is. And I'm kind of thinking of like the BTK case, the bind, torture, kill case, where they used things like you know how people submit their DNA to find out who their ancestors are?
Okay.
So they were able to find out he was BTK through like finding out who his relatives were and then finding him based off of that. So maybe they should do something similar with this DNA. They probably are, and we just don't know about it, which, you know, I don't know how I feel about them using our DNA like that. But if it helps find this guy, it would be very helpful. And I do want to go over here at the end, before we leave, some theories that are kind of maybe unhinged. Maybe they're realistic. So there's like some that focus on, you know, certain suspects. Certain books focus on random suspects. Ted Cruz is often said to be the killer. He wasn't born until after the last letter was sent, so I don't think it's Mr. Ted Cruz. This is kind of an interesting one. There are some claims that the Zodiac could be connected to other crimes, like other big ones, such as the Black Dahlia murder. That's another 1947 killing. It was a young 22-year-old woman, aspiring actress Elizabeth Short, who lived in Los Angeles. Very, very brutal murder with a crazy media influence on the case and stuff like that. Also still unsolved. Some people think that it could be connected there, which is interesting. And then there are also claims that, you know, that just are kind of all circumstantial evidence, so they're not really worth investigating. But the Black Dahlia one thing is interesting to me. But also, AI has also claimed to solve the case by generating some names and kind of breaking some of the ciphers. But yeah, none of that has been confirmed as of yet. But maybe we'll know more in the next year or so. And we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's not Ted Cruz as far as I know. There's some options, but most likely it's probably someone we don't know the name of. I think it's just some random dude, and we just don't know yet. With the guy that they do claim is the killer at the end of the movie, I don't think he seems like a bad dude, but it doesn't match his MO. Like, he was a child molester, not someone that runs up to people in their car and shoots them. Doesn't really match, in my opinion, but...
Right. I mean, if you look at it in the rest of the movie, though, like, the build and the way that he speaks and kind of the weird kind of person, like, in the movie, it does line up to be him the entire time.
But here's the thing.
And they
tell us the things that don't match, and then Jake Gyllenhaal's like, but you just gotta believe it's him.
Right, yeah. So I think, though, what I liked in Mark Ruffalo, like, his character in the movie, is at the end of the movie, he said, the Zodiac Killer really only killed 5 people. And, like, comparatively to, you know, other mass murderers who've done, like, 13 or 20 or different things like that, Or he just said, like, we live in San Francisco. And he said, do you know how many, like, murders have happened since the last one? And he gives an insane amount of numbers. And he's like, it's just something that's, like, we have to track down these other killers. Because, like, going down this rabbit hole and almost playing his game was really, like, what was getting them
that's a good point.
Caught up. And so, for me, I think what makes the Zodiac such a, like... a big deal is the way that he went about doing his stuff and like the letters and you know, claiming all these things that he was going to do and, you know, the ciphers. And that was like, it's always something for people who look into, you know, real
people that are obsessive
to be like, oh wow.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it, because like this is almost like the first big original, like, let's solve this case together.
People are still obsessed
and now
with
it's
it.
like this huge. Yeah, exactly. And now it's this huge market almost for, like, true crime. And, I mean, to be fair, multiple people online have been able to help solve cases, which is really interesting. But for this one, it's almost kind of like the Loch Ness Monster or Sasquatch. Like, what is it? Is it real? Is it not? You know, will we ever find the answer? We don't know. Yeah. And I think that's what makes it so interesting.
No, I 100% agree.
And the movie's good.
It's a great movie. And I do want to say, like, just for the credit of the movie, some of the things they got right. Like, they get a lot of the details right. But really, they were, like, meticulous, like, down to, like, the costumes of the murder victims are accurate. They even had, like, Mark Ruffalo, like you were just talking about him, went and met the investigator, David Toshi, I believe. And so, like, they even hunted down some of the survivors and people that were actually there. Like, they could have made a documentary.
Hunted down is crazy.
Okay, they tracked down different people. And, yeah, David Fincher really gave this movie his all.
Yeah.
And he even, like, didn't depict some of the actual victim killings and stuff if there was not evidence to show us the details of those even. So, like, he does fill in details here and there, but not as much as other movies would. Other movies would just make up so much more. So he had a lot of care for it. And he did, like, you can miss a lot of facts as well. Like, again, Mark Ruffalo's character, he, if you're not paying attention, you're like, why is he getting kicked off the police force? It's because he wrote himself fan mail to the newspaper. And then they're like, oh, you must be doing the Zodiac writings too, which he's clearly not. But, like, so they include everything, and not everyone looks great all the time. Even though it's based off of Jake Gyllenhaal's character, his book, he kind of comes across looking like a jerk in this movie too. So I think from a film standpoint, it's a wonderful movie. We may never know who the killer was. But again, like we said, maybe the real killer was the friends we met along the way.
Was the friends we made along the way, guys. It's not about Zodiac. It's about us.
Yeah.
And the survivors, even though we had nothing to do.
We're survivors, dude.
Anyway, guys.
One more thing.
We are
before we close out.
So that's it.
There's a fun... maybe not fun. This is really cool, though. So when they were filming the different scenes, and you see the Zodiac come out and, like, kill people or whatever, they use different actors for each Zodiac. So...
yeah.
That alone tells me that the movie's not proposing who it is. Otherwise, they would have had I can't remember the actor's name right now, but John Carroll Lynch. They would have had him playing the Zodiac if they thought Arthur was the killer. But no. So there's a lot of mystery out there. Who knows, man? Maybe it was an alien.
Maybe. And that's what the government's going to reveal in due time. All right, guys. Well, that is the Zodiac real versus
Epstein.
real. Guys, let us know. Do you think it was Jeffrey Epstein? Do you think it was Arthur? Who do you think the Zodiac is? We want to know, but we don't want to do the legwork. So go ahead and comment down below. Anyway, guys. So that is going to do it for April. That's
what a month.
April's a wrap. 1 month. So, guys, we have another great month coming up of just new films that we're going to be discussing and reviewing. This next month, kind of like I said, it's going to be a little bit weird just because of some changes, but we are still dedicated to posting an episode every single week. So turn on the notification bell if you haven't already. Go subscribe, go comment, like, share, all those things. Guys, our numbers are starting to get up. So
dude,
if you can
send
keep
us a
bumping
cipher.
those numbers up, send us a cipher, and we would love to. Anyway, guys, so that is going to be it for this episode. We thank you so much for watching, sticking around, and be kind, rewind. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.